Why would a US submarine fire a torpedo at an Iranian naval vessel, striking the ship Dena near its stern with such destructive force? The situation begins in the Indian Ocean, where US Central Command has been closely monitoring Iranian naval movements. American analysts believe that several Iranian ships operating in the region could potentially threaten strategic locations such as Diego Garcia, an island base that hosts advanced aircraft including B-2 stealth bombers. Some vessels in the region may even appear to be ordinary cargo ships, yet intelligence reports suggest that certain modified ships could secretly carry long-range missile systems hidden within their structure. Because of these potential risks, US naval forces have been maintaining a strong surveillance presence across the area. According to reports, a dramatic naval incident occurred on March 4, 2026. Before sunrise, the heavily armed Iranian frigate Dena was sailing in the Indian Ocean, about 40 nautical miles south of Sri Lanka. The vessel had recently participated in a multinational naval exercise and was on its return journey. What the crew of roughly 180 sailors did not realize was that they were being silently tracked beneath the ocean surface. Hidden deep underwater, a US Navy fast attack submarine had already detected the ship. The submarine's crew carefully analyzed the target and prepared their weapons system. The selected weapon was the powerful Mark 48 heavyweight torpedo, one of the most advanced torpedoes used by modern submarines. Once the commanding officer gave the order, the torpedo was launched toward the approaching warship. If you enjoy detailed military documentaries and strategic analysis like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next breakdown of modern naval warfare. Traveling at over 50 knots, the Mark 48 heavyweight torpedo cuts silently through the dark water. The crew has zero time to react. The 3,000-pound weapon strikes the Dena directly at the stern, detonating its high-explosive warhead right beneath the hull. The impact is catastrophic. In a fraction of a second, the blast vaporizes the ship's propulsion system, violently tearing the rear deck apart and sending a massive shockwave echoing across the ocean. Inferred footage released by the Pentagon shows a massive detonation blowing the rear of the vessel completely apart. The sheer force of the explosion actually lifts the warship out of the water before it violently begins sinking stern first. The timeline is brutally fast. Just before 5 a.m. local time, the torpedo strikes. At 5:08 a.m., the crippled warship issues a frantic distress call to nearby coast guards. Between 6 and 7 a.m., the Sri Lankan Navy urgently dispatches ships and aircraft for a search and rescue mission. But by the time rescuers reach the coordinates, the Iris Dena is already gone. There is no ship left to save, only life rafts and oil slick and survivors floating in the water. Ultimately, 32 sailors are rescued. Over 80 lose their lives in the dark waters. But how does a US submarine find an enemy target using active and passive sonar to lock on and fire a torpedo? Active sonar emits pulses of sound waves that travel through the water and reflect off the target and return to the ship. By knowing the speed of sound in water and the time for the sound wave to travel to the target and back, the computers can then quickly calculate the distance between the submarine and the target in a short amount of time. But the Virginia class uses an advanced passive sonar that maps the ocean floors and minefields. Additionally, the sonar array are also attached on each side, along with a long boom array to provide quick target location and information. But how does a torpedo works? Explained in super basic animation. Pressurized air propels the torpedo toward its target. The piston engine with propellers maximizes the torpedo's speed. It trails a wire plugged into the weapon systems aboard the sub, using data to navigate. The torpedo rapidly accelerates through the water, reaching speeds of around 32 knots and capable of traveling several kilometers toward its target. As the weapon approaches its destination, the guiding wire is automatically released, and the torpedo's onboard sonar system takes full control of its navigation. If the torpedo fails to hit the target on the first attempt, it can circle back through the water, scanning the surrounding area and searching again using its advanced sonar sensors. This single weapon carries an explosive power equivalent to nearly 1,200 pounds of TNT, making it one of the most destructive weapons used in modern naval warfare. Military analysts also suggest that future upgrades may include new generations of supercavitating torpedoes, sometimes referred to as Barracuda-type systems, designed to travel even faster underwater. But the bigger question remains: why is the United States so focused on tracking Iranian naval activity across the region? To understand the strategy behind these operations, we need to examine Iran's missile capabilities. One example is the Imad medium-range ballistic missile, which has an estimated range of roughly 2,000 kilometers. Another system, the Sumar cruise missile, believed to be based on earlier Russian designs, is capable of long-distance precision strikes and may use advanced guidance techniques to avoid certain missile defense systems. These weapons are designed to threaten strategic military bases and potentially limit the ability of opposing air forces to respond quickly. Iran's strategy may also extend beyond direct confrontation. Regional groups aligned with Iran, including forces operating in Yemen and Iraq, could launch missiles or drones toward strategic targets in the Middle East. Such actions could force US and allied forces to divide their attention and resources, making coordinated defense operations far more complex. Let's explore how Iran might target Diego Garcia, the US fortress in the Indian Ocean. As tensions rise on the high seas, Iran could turn its attention to Diego Garcia, a remote but vital US military stronghold in the Indian Ocean. This heavily fortified island serves as a key staging ground for America's strategic bombers, including the nuclear-capable B-2 Spirit self-aircraft designed to strike deep into enemy territory undetected. So, how might Iran counter this threat? The answer lies in covert maritime tactics. Take the Shahed Madhavi, a repurposed container ship spotted prowling the Indian Ocean in February. On the surface, it appears ordinary, but its cargo holds conceal a deadly secret: ballistic missiles hidden within shipping containers. A surprise barrage of Sigil missiles with a striking range of 2,500 kilometers launched from such a vessel could bring Diego Garcia within Iran's crosshairs. But Iran's strategy isn't about surgical strikes. Instead, imagine a swarm of modified Fateh 110 short-range ballistic missiles, adaptive for sea launches, raining cluster munitions across the airbase. According to Hudson Institute assessments, just 5 of these warheads could disable every exposed aircraft on the tarmac. The real blow? Such an attack would crater the airfield, destroy weapon stockpiles, and leave the island's critical infrastructure inoperable, transforming this distant fortress into a smoldering relic of the storm. While operating near its home port of Bandar Abbas, the corvette was caught in the crosshairs of a coordinated U.S. strike. The impact was immediate and devastating. Because the ship's lightweight hull was constructed from aluminum rather than traditional steel, the metal didn't just fracture, it burned.
Catamarans typically possess less hull volume, smaller displacement, and shallower draft compared to monohulls of similar length. This warship is equipped with 6 anti-ship cruise missiles, including 4 long-range ones, likely Norm missile, and 2 short-range anti-ship missiles. It might also be the first Iranian warship to be equipped with a VLS, vertical launch system. Its VLS includes 6 larger cells for surface-to-surface cruise missiles and 16 smaller ones for surface-to-air missiles, all located behind the command bridge. The ships are equipped with a helipad and an underlying crane designed for the deployment and retrieval of fast attack boats. They have the capacity to carry fast-moving surface vessels, along with the capability to retrieve them and rearm them efficiently.
But wait, that's not all. This vessel is also able to carry the Bell 4112 heavy helicopter with anti-submarine capability, as well as various types of drones like the Shahed UAV, enhancing the combat organization of the Army, Navy, and the IRGC. This is the new Iranian IRGC vessel, the Shahed Madawi, which is a conversion of the 240-meter-long cargo vessel, Sarvin. Yes, they literally took this cargo ship and re-engineered it into an amphibious vessel. Basically, it's a container ship that has been converted into a helicopter landing platform, suitable for this Bell helicopter and this Sea King acquired during the Shah regime. Remember the Gulf of Oman? This Sea King was the helicopter used to take over the ship and land troops. They can also carry around 4 attack boats like this and launch multiple attack drones to strike any ship. But wait, there's more. You can also find defensive weapons like this cannon located at the front and the back. Just like the corvette, it might also have a vertical launch system used for anti-ship missiles. These ships are a threat to the US Navy, so they launch an all-out assault. First up is the Joshan. When this Iranian fast attack craft approached a US surface action group, it fired a US-made Harpoon missile, a remnant from pre-revolution arms sales. The American cruiser managed to avoid the incoming missile by deploying electronic countermeasures and defensive chaff. Moments later, US naval forces responded with overwhelming firepower, striking the Iranian vessel and sinking it in what historians later described as one of the earliest missile exchanges between modern warships. Soon after, another Iranian warship, the Sahand, moved toward the US fleet and attempted to engage nearby aircraft. The reaction from American forces was immediate and decisive. US Navy strike aircraft, supported by a nearby destroyer, launched multiple missiles and heavy bombs at the vessel. The intense attack caused severe damage, eventually setting the ship ablaze before it finally went down. Later that same day, a third Iranian frigate, the Solemani, attempted to challenge US air power. The ship launched a surface-to-air missile toward an approaching American jet. However, the pilot skillfully avoided the attack, turned back toward the target, and released a precision-guided bomb aimed directly at the vessel. The resulting explosion caused massive internal damage and disabled the ship. These dramatic encounters highlighted the strategic importance of controlling the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow passage that serves as one of the world's most vital routes for global oil transportation. If you enjoy in-depth military breakdowns and strategic analysis like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss our next documentary explaining modern warfare and military technology.